eating whenever you feel like it.
Have you guys heard about eating dried grapes? It's actually really good for you.
I fucking hate this, damn.
No, well, I mean, why?
Yeah, I'm just raising awareness.
Oh. What is up, Internet? It's your boy Brando, and welcome to episode 12 of the Otaku Remix Podcast. Joining me as always, Christopher House. Chris, what's up, man?
I'm doing alright. We had a nice day of board games and Fiji games, and now we're gonna bitch about one, so that's always fun.
Yep. We also found one Daniel O'Connor.
Hello.
Dan.
Hi, how you doing?
Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I appreciate you. You were the one who kind of a little bit sparking this podcast conversation, so I'm glad that you could swing by. And today, if you couldn't tell from the thumbnail, we're going to be talking about Square Enix and Disney's Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard of it, possibly. This is going to be kind of a reaction review, just our takes, our impressions from the game. I know that Dan and Chris have both completed the game. I am nearing the end. I'm in the middle of the Caribbean, heading towards the back half of the game, but I do know how it ends plot-wise. But
yeah, you saw me beat the last couple of bosses.
yeah, I saw you basically finish the game. Yeah, the last couple of
yeah.
boss fights into the ending and the secret ending, which we got to see on YouTube.
Yeah,
but
didn't take enough pictures.
Yeah,
I did.
Didn't absorb enough subliminal marketing.
Yeah,
to garner that. Dan, why don't you give us what is your just initial impression, just to headline it, the conversation today?
So for me, going into it, I think I had high expectations because this was supposed to be, and was, the conclusion to the original arc that was set in the first game.
Yeah.
And I was impressed with the beginning, and then I enjoyed the game, but I think overall I felt it was too short.
Yeah.
And didn't fulfill enough of what the past games had.
What did you think you timed out? What was your hours?
I think it was 30.
30? Okay,
yeah.
Sizable. But still, yeah, it could have been longer.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe not even longer, but just...
from a gameplay standpoint, I'm sure there's still some material there for you, but from a narrative standpoint, that's basically...
Yeah, that's really where it fell.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay, so you felt it was a little bit condensed. Something like that.
Something along those lines.
Okay. How about you, House?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat as Dan. I'm not as much disappointed at its the length of the game. I think I beat it in within 25 hours.
Yeah.
And I don't mind a game being that short. I mean, I got a lot to do. But but the problem I have with it is that we're going to talk about the game in detail, and there's not that much to talk about.
Interesting.
And that's pretty much the biggest problem. The first, I would say, 20 hours of the game are just a big Disney ad. They have very little to do with the story of Kingdom Hearts or any of the characters within that. And that's where my frustration comes from, because the lore has been a clusterfuck since day one. I don't care what lore they add to the world or whatever, but I do enjoy Sora as a character. I do enjoy Riku and Kairi and Axel.
Well, Kairi's not a character. That would require agency.
Yeah, well,
Oh man,
she's cute, but whatever. I enjoy her relationship with Sora. It's a sweet one.
Yeah.
And this game just gives you so little in terms of character development for any of them.
Yeah.
And it's just frustrating in that regard.
For me, I was never terribly invested. I didn't play 1. I got a synopsis. I played 2 as a youngster, and I did enjoy it.
Yeah.
But it was a very mechanical experience. I kind of tuned out everything lore-wise.
Oh, okay.
So I barely remembered anything going into this. I had to watch a dozen videos to see what had happened in between, the 13-year gap.
Yeah.
I could see, and again, semi-incomplete opinion right now, but for what I have at this moment is, pseudo-disappointment. I didn't have heavy expectations, though. There's a lot to enjoy from a gameplay standpoint, I think, or at least a serviceable amount, and nothing really for me as a passive consumer of the plot. I think this is very much designed for the long-time Kingdom Hearts fans. A lot of closure, a lot of catharsis in regards to those plot lines that I barely have any investment with. And since we're comparing dicks, my fucking gameplay time so far is 25 hours. But I think 5 of it is unconscious. So
You just fell asleep.
I fall asleep quite often playing Kingdom Hearts, which is, again, something we'll get into. But maybe to its... Yeah, it has to be to its detriment.
If a piece of entertainment... if a piece of... rule of thumb, if a piece of entertainment is not keeping your attention, that's a problem.
Yeah. So...
Don't blame yourself.
Don't blame yourself. Listen, we all have to sleep.
What about David Cage?
David Kage?
David Kage says if it's a game over,
it's
his
game
fault.
over. Oh, we have to get into David Cage one day.
One day.
But actually, I'm glad you brought up the game mechanics because I think that's a first interesting point to get to.
Yeah, let's just get into that real quick. Then we can go into the overall structure of the game. But just gameplay, flavor test. I personally like it quite a bit, but I think that there's an artificial difficulty as the game goes on. My encounters with the enemies is just a lot of X, with not much thought put in between. Yeah. Like, especially the hordes, the boss is a little bit, but with the hordes, there's rarely any time where I'm really scared or have any fear or challenge. I felt like I was, and I played on normal. I don't know. I know you played on Proud, right, Dan? What do you think of the game?
I thought it
gameplay specifically.
I thought the gameplay was. I think it works. It has the flow that's necessary, but the game itself never challenges you to really learn it. At least not until the very end, where a lot of the mechanics were then necessary. But early on, like you said, the hordes and stuff like that, it's just... in fact, it was funny when I watched you. I was watching House play at the end of the game. I was like, "Dude, just X, like X more." Like,
like I'm trying to do fucking platinum game shit with dodging and perfect rolls, and it's just like, just stop. The enemy is not made for that.
I'm in Caribbean, and it's the first world that feels a little bit more well designed. Where
is it because of the pirate fights though?
There's a couple things. Yeah, the pirate fight stuff, the world exploration, the movement in the world feels a little bit more fun. In and of itself, like. There's always a bailout mechanic, I feel like, at any given moment. When I go into the world, not even just like my spells, my links, and my shit, and my powers as Sora, but the game also provided me an environmental advantage. Like if I go to Toy Story, there's the fucking Gigas. I can always find a Gigas somewhere and just hop into that and just wipe everything.
And so that's the problem, is that like, yeah, you should always be able to have something to deal with the situation. The problem is you should have to think of what you need to do in that situation.
Yeah, I don't
Whereas the game just gives you the triangle button.
Yeah,
and that's just it.
I'm like, okay, I can hop into this. For that was Toy Story. For Monsters Inc., there wasn't really anything for Monsters Inc.
But you always have the Disney rides to get yourself out of situations. Yeah. You always have like...
So an idea I heard that would have been interesting, especially I think in Proud Mode, that would kind of fix this problem, would be to make it so that you can stack your triangles, but as soon as you use one, they all clear.
Okay.
You know, it's a little bit less of just... Triangle.
Yeah.
Okay, X, triangle.
Yeah, at least putting
like
some
you use
thought
one
in selection and choice. And
something.
Like
It's like more strategic.
When I've got like 3, when I've got like Goofy Bombardier mixed with like Firaga mixed with like fucking pirate ship backed up, I'm not even worried about this wave. Like as soon as I pop one to kill this wave, I'm trying to make sure I get to the next wave of enemies within 30 seconds, so I can just wipe them all with these anyway.
Yeah,
so,
I did that too. Yeah,
exactly. So it's gameplay is spotty but fun usually. I feel like. Again, strategically and like tactically, I'm not really doing too much that's novel. It's fun. It's very pretty. It flows pretty well most of the time. I like some of the little things thrown in the in-betweens.
Yeah.
To kind of break up the monotony.
Yeah.
But it's just small mini-game-esque kind of stuff.
I mentioned it at the beginning when I started playing it, but like it reminds me a lot of, you might not recognize this, Dan, but Muso games. Where the premise is that
very much,
you are playing as a single character, but you're fighting massive amounts of weak enemies.
Oh, is this
like Dynasty Warriors?
Yes,
basically.
I have seen that.
Any Dynasty Warriors type game,
like
Hyrule Warriors. What the fuck, Fire Emblem Warriors.
Yeah.
Those types of games where you're just facing like faceless hordes and you're just blowing through them. It's power fantasy as fuck.
And it's strange coming from Kingdom Hearts 2, which was so like mechanically sound.
Yeah.
They would limit the amount of enemies.
I felt more engaged in a one-on-one fight in Kingdom Hearts 2 than I felt almost in any fight so far in Kingdom Hearts 3, and I'm on the back half of the game now.
I feel like the enemies in this game, it's never about the individual, it's about the horde. Yeah. It's like you're not worried about any one thing coming after you and messing you up, and you have to think mechanically about how to deal with it. It's very much so just like, can I survive this many enemies? That
kind of,
it's a little different.
It's like I'm just using AoE when I walk in there, and then afterwards I switch to like my single target Keyblade, and then I just clean up.
Yeah.
But
so, and that's the problem, I think, is that like it doesn't do anything bad.
No.
But it doesn't do anything stellar.
Yeah, no, it's par for the course as far as gameplay is concerned. It's not terrible. I definitely had some fun moments.
It looks great.
Yeah, it looks great, fantastic. You know, the the Disney rides, the particle effects, everything looks really beautiful and comes out smoothly.
The first couple times.
Yeah, most of the time.
Well, okay, they always look great.
No,
I'm just saying, like,
great,
I mean, like anything, the more you see it, the more you're like, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully they have the skip sequence button there, because otherwise, I'm like, every time I have to hop in that fucking Toy Story ride blaster thing, and I'm like, oh my god, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna blow triangle right away anyway. So, So from the overall structure of the game, the design of it, plot wise, I felt like the prologue was like two steps forward, one step back when it comes to like progression. For me, the last one I played was 2. A very lengthy, long, quiet prologue in 2 with the Roxas story.
It's one of my favorite prologues ever.
It's actually, the older I've gotten, the more I like it.
Exactly. I didn't like it back then. Thinking back on it, I think it was a fun narrative decision from the team. And I know that's kind of a point of contention when it comes to Kingdom Hearts. This one hits the ground running a lot more quickly and with a lot more energy and a lot more bombast with the whole 2.9 and like the Hercules world.
I had a hard laugh.
I know, me too. I was like, what the fuck are they doing?
But I guess I think it fits.
Oh, yeah,
it does. I know. I'm just saying I had a hard laugh at it because it was
like,
so funny. It was very tongue in cheek.
Square with their fucking
crazy.
But yeah.
But yeah, no, I thought that was fun and I thought it was engaging and definitely a lot easier to start the game with, more for I think the average consumer than the long story-driven Roxas Twilight Town stuff. But at the same time, I felt it was kind of, like you said, I think you mentioned it, like it doesn't have any plot relevance whatsoever. It's just there to kind of introduce you to the mechanics. It's a very bloated tutorial at the end of the day. I thought it was enjoyable at the least, you know.
It's enjoyable. The problems that I have with the prologue actually continue on in the other Disney worlds to varying degree. The cutscenes in the Hercules world, which is the prologue, are very like static and very uninspired.
The whole games
conversations will just be like camera pointed at one character talking and saying what's going on, even though we just saw what happened. Cut to another character talking, cut back to the other character responding, and that's the scene. Like, scenes are boring, and conversation scenes are boring, and I just like towards the latter half of those Disney worlds, I just started skipping cutscenes because like I knew what would happen.
Yeah.
It was always the same pattern. If it wasn't a cutscene directly taken from a Disney movie, it was just the worst dialogue I've heard in a while.
So this brings up a good question that I have about this movie, or this game. This movie. I mean, hell.
That's a Square Enix game.
Yeah, but no, I wonder how much Disney really had influence on this, because it seems to me like at the beginning of this game, there is no urgency set up for any of you as characters. Like, there's no bad guy that shows up and causes any ruckus that then Sora and team have to rise up against. It's just you're kind of expected to know all this stuff from the previous games.
Yeah.
And I happen to, but it doesn't, make this a very urgent feeling game.
No.
But I wonder, is that because they had to figure out those worlds, but Disney was like, yeah, but just make them the movies, so you can't tell that story?
It's something I don't know all that well about, because like going back to Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, I don't know how the worlds were selected, how the Disney worlds were selected, but they were at least integrated into the overall plot.
Right. How you're describing it, Dan, I know what you mean. Like there's dramatic tension that's supposed to be hanging over our heads, built up from the previous games, from the overall circumstance of the quest to beat Xemnas and all that other shit, or Xehanort, excuse me. But it's not there presently in the beginning of the game. No. You just show up and you're helping out Hercules, and there's just cryptic talk, and it never really is formally introduced until you start the game, and then we'll start Kingdom Hearts 3, quote unquote. And it's like, you're weak, you gotta get strong again, and that's as much setup and structure you're basically getting as the player. And for people who are starting it from square one, granted, it's kind of strange for someone to start the third in a series and not expect to have a little bit of backlog, but something to at least quickly synopsize the stakes. And
you need to reestablish something.
Yeah.
Like I think every movie needs every game needs to do that. I mean, Kingdom Hearts 2 even did that.
Yeah.
Even though it is a direct sequel, they were very clever about it, where they know Sora wakes up after being out of commission for a year in Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah.
And that's the premise, is like figure out what's been going on, and then new problems arise as the adventure goes on.
It's fantastic. It's
really well done. We might even just do another retrospect another time. But Kingdom Hearts 3, it's just like, hey, just do shit until you figure out the power of waking, and it's like,
what is that?
I mean, again, we can know what that is, but it's not even. But like, what is even getting the power of waking? How do I get that? I don't know. Then what are we doing here?
Yeah, what does it mean?
What we're doing here is sitting through 20 hours of Disney ads.
I know.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah. To harken back to what you were saying, too, the fucking cutscenes are just so...
They're poorly directed.
Boring. Like,
it's incredible.
When you said static in 2.9, I feel like that was just consistent throughout the whole game.
Oh, that's what I was saying.
There's just an inhuman way of delivering lines, and I know that you made you made a theory, so to speak, when you said that like the English voice actors were trying to meet, or they were trying to play the lines,
trying to match the mouth flaps. It could have been that. Could have just been bad voice direction. Because honestly, they have some quality voice actors.
I felt like it was definitely bad voice direction because, or maybe it's the way they edited it. I don't know, but everything was just very sluggish. And there's you already saw the supercut, but it's like so much. Obviously, the millions of Sora, Donald, Goofy, the millions of those, but then on top of that, Hercules, Boo, Mike Wazowski. Like, they just have to say each other's names as much as possible.
It's like how children talk.
Where's Anna?
Where's Anna? Like, it's just like...
I loved finding all the ingredients.
That's a meme in of itself. And, like, I don't know. I still smile at it because I think of FF15.
Yeah.
But,
that's more fun.
Yeah, FF15 is much more fun.
It's way better Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah. And, like, God, yeah. But, yeah, no, like, going through those Disney worlds was a slog, in my opinion.
Yeah, so far, I agree. Like, up until now, like I said, I'm only getting some fun out of Caribbean right now, but, like, God was Tangled and Frozen, boring as fuck.
Yeah.
I skipped basically every cutscene, except for Let It Go.
I was amazed that they did the whole song.
Yeah, I'm like, okay.
I Snapchatted it, actually. Yeah. So I was like, this has never happened before.
Like, yes. Give me the music number.
Yes. And, I mean, Toy Story and Monster Inc. were not much better. Like, sure, they weren't just rehashing the same story as the movie, but only to make a much worse story.
Yeah,
like,
just this
they made me hate Buzz Lightyear. How did you do that?
I know.
I'm still skeptical about this whole thing.
I felt a lot of the worlds were also very uninspired.
Absolutely.
Like, I think back to, and so to give people reference, I've played other games in this series, and I thought Dream Drop Distance was far more interesting.
Yeah. Well, so Dream Drop Distance, it's good for you to bring that up because it introduced the mechanic of like the wall bouncing, sliding, general like huge mobility options.
Yeah.
And they designed the levels around it. Mm-hmm. You could hop off of anything. They would keep corridors, hallways narrow so that you can bounce between the walls and get real altitude. And this game, it doesn't feel like it's designed around your movement options.
Billion arenas, and they occasionally throw in the dash into like the spin cycle.
Yeah, but they're like on like roller coaster rides. And
exactly.
Yeah.
It's rough.
The level design's not very good.
It's a little airy. Yeah, there's like a lot of space.
Yeah. But I think in Dream Drop Distance, the world that I loved, like I was like, this is one of those worlds, you know, that like you kind of remember, was actually the one with like the winged horses and stuff like that. It's like that old cartoon from Disney. Do you know that?
No, unfortunately.
What are those called? Pegasuses, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if you can't remember.
It's gone from my memory, unfortunately.
I thought it was very cool. But yeah, either way, back to the Kingdom Hearts 3, though, it's just like, out of all the worlds, none of them really blew me away. I would say maybe the coolest would be Hero 6, right?
So yeah, I was going to mention, Hero 6 feels like it's designed for your movement options. Once you have everything, you can tear through that city. Yeah. And that's the best part about it, is that you're tearing through the city and going from like heartless crime to heartless crime. And like that's what's
like
fun
Spider-Man.
about it. It does, and not nearly as good as the PS4 Spider-Man, but like you feel like you're having fun with the game's mechanics.
Yeah.
And every other world is just like, nope, go down this hallway until you get into battle arena. Now go down this hallway.
At least I have that to look forward to.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you do.
Right now, I just look forward to swimming, and fucking propelling through the water with my Keyblade.
Yeah.
But getting towards the end, as you are, as soon as you do get past the Disney hump, which is what I'm going to refer to it as.
That's fair. I'm sure Disney would approve.
Yeah. It's the hump that goes over the castle when the movie starts. Basically, I think that once it gets into the Kingdom Hearts lore again, it is good. I liked it, but it's just...
I think it.
You get another 4 hours,
yeah,
and then the game ends.
Yeah. As you guys told me, I'm in the back half of it. As soon as I finish the Disney Worlds, then we get into like the Kingdom Hearts-esque parts of the game. Well, the more thick with lore Kingdom Hearts parts, and I just don't know if I'm gonna have that. So far, the Disney Worlds have no correlation whatsoever to the overall plot. It is literally just either, like we mentioned, retellings of the movies or just small rehashes coming up post films with Organization 13 people popping up and just saying like, "Hi, we have plans.
Yeah.
Bye."
Yeah.
Like,
screw you, Sora.
exactly. Yeah, and it's like, you don't want to touch Elsa, and I'm like, oh, I will try not to, and then you just keep going, and it's just like, I don't know. It doesn't feel like very cohesive, like you were mentioning earlier, Chris. Like, there isn't a whole lot of carryover, and I don't know how much they could really pull into the overall plot, which is already complicated enough to really make any sort of meaningful ending for myself.
To do so would need like a creative intent behind it.
Yeah.
And it seems like I don't want to throw shade in this way, like to anybody developing a Square.
Tetsuya Nomura.
Yeah, I don't want to throw it to Tetsuya Nomura or his team. They did a great job, like actually building this game. But it feels like, in terms of the Disney stuff, it was just like This felt like the homework of like we need to check these boxes off. Let's just do it and get it done with. There is nothing interesting about them. There's nothing in them that relates back to Sora's need to find the power of waking.
Yeah.
The only one that comes close is Big Hero 6, where all the heroes of the group learn from Sora's powers. They learn new abilities inadvertently. So that's kind of somewhat
That's
relatable.
cool, actually. I never even...
And so...
Are you saying that that's the power of waking in him?
Well, it's like it's how
powers?
It's how you figure stuff out. You observe other people and how they're doing things, and you learn from them. Like, but granted, that doesn't fully fit. By the way, it's just the closest I can find in this game.
No, that's cool.
Yeah, I feel like if they were able to integrate the plot a little bit more...
Then none at all.
Then not at all. Yeah, then I might have some sort of investment into what's going on in each world. Instead, I feel like I'm just slogging through hordes just so I can get through this world.
Waiting until the skip ad button appears.
Exactly. So
So we finally finished all 8 worlds, I believe. Yes.
I believe so, yeah. 4 in each quad, or whatever.
Yeah, 4, 2, and 2. And we finally get to our fight with Aqua. I'm not going to go chronologically from there, but just like for those who are wondering where we're at, it's the fight with Aqua that starts what I feel is the real Kingdom Hearts 3. Where Nomura and his team, from there on is the story they actually wanted to tell.
Yeah, I could tell at some point they're going to get into the many, many hanging plot threads that are not even touched upon up until this point. Just reintroduced. It's like, go find Ventus. Yeah. He's inside you. Remember that. We already talked about it in another game. Okay.
Oh, it's my favorite trifecta where it's like, well, we need to find Aqua. Well, I guess we're going to have to find Ventus. Well, where's Ventus? Well, he was put away somewhere and only Aqua knows where he is. Okay, well, who can get Aqua? Well, maybe Terra, but nobody knows where he is. It's like, I guess we're fucked then.
It's just, so...
But yeah, they eventually find Aqua, and I knew that's where the creative energy was, because that fight is so interesting, where it's just Aqua. It's like multiple. It's a dark version of her, and she's like upset about how she was left in the dark world and she was left alone, and she's talking like aimlessly. And so her boss fight is multiple versions of her just walking around aimlessly. It almost reflects where she's at. Oh, wow. And I'm like, that's creativity. Yeah. Where was this?
Yeah,
for the first half.
Yeah, and I got so hyped during that fight, and it just kind of goes from there. That's where like interesting ideas just keep appearing. The next fight you don't even get to control Sora. You get to control Aqua instead, and it's like, oh my god, like it's making me interested and excited through either surprise or through revelation or through an interesting scenario. And I was really hopeful that I'd enjoy the rest of the game. And, I mean, I kind of did.
I did, yeah. I played it.
But it wasn't even it wasn't fully satisfying.
It's not. Once you hit that point, that's, like, again, where they started taking some new risks and, like, doing some new things. And it was just like, oh, wow, great, this is awesome. And in fact, in most of the old games, they have a peak in the middle, kind of like that.
Yeah.
Where they start showing you, like, this is the game where you're done with the trial. You know what I mean? You figured out the game. Here's the peak. Now, go on and finish the true story. Mm-hmm. And that didn't happen here. That was like, here it is, and this is also the end. I thought I was about halfway.
I understand that game design structure. The overall, just like with normal RPGs, the whole hero having to regain his powers thing is fairly common amongst games. Like, I think most commonly coming to mind is God of War. Almost the beginning of every God of War, 2, 3, and the newest one, beginning of God of War, you have to regain all of your godly powers and then basically go from there. The new one, God of War, basically does this as well. So he's, again, no longer like about that life, but has to become the God of War once again, sort of, kind of. And the peak in that game is when, spoiler, if there weren't enough in this podcast already, when he gets the Blades of Chaos.
I love that moment.
It's a beautiful fucking scene, emotionally, and for the game, it's a nice little turning point. You reach, like, you kind of almost ascended back to your old self because you picked up your old blades. In this game, yeah, I can understand that's the reason why the game is structured, so that you have to gain the power of waking, so you have to just reassimilate all your powers, but it takes so long. Like you guys mentioned, it's that 15, 20 hours of a 25-hour game, you know?
Yeah.
It takes too long to get to that apex, and it's just a slog, too. It doesn't have anything to supplement what is basically...
I think that's the lack of the story being told.
Yeah, there is no story being told in the first 20 hours.
Yeah.
If for 60% of the game, there's barely any story being told. There's
barely
basically
any
just
story being told, and it's being told
exactly.
poorly.
Exactly. Yeah, it's
like,
plus it's an incredibly. We already know it's an incredibly vast and complex story.
Yeah.
And the fact it's almost a feat to not tell anything about it for the majority of your 13-year-long developed game. Yeah. That a majority of it basically is just reminding us where everybody is. It's like Aqua's still in the dark world, fucking Kyrie's training with Axel. I was all about to call him.
There is no payoff for that at all. That's so fucking frustrating.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, and you guys are doing what you guys are doing. So it's like.
Cool.
And that's your knowledge for majority of the game, and then eventually there's some payoff at the end, which is what I'm waiting for. But knowing that it's going to be just short lived, is very disappointing.
And even then, like even on top of it being short in terms of like time, it's like there's no satisfying conclusion to a lot of things that are just set up. The most satisfying thing is the reunion of Aqua, Terra, and Ventus.
I guess.
That is the most satisfying thing. But guess what? Those are not your three main characters.
But they're on the cover of the box, though.
No, the other box.
What about Birth by Sleep?
They're under the main characters. On this box, they are under the main characters.
Think about it this way. This is supposed to be the closing to the arc of, like, the beginning of the game, right? The first game.
I would assume so.
Right. That's sort of what this intent is. So it's like, okay, what do we get from the beginning? Kyrie gets taken away.
Yes.
What do we get at the end? Kyrie's dead.
Yeah. Huh.
Awesome.
Except she's not.
Except he's gonna go get her.
That was really weird too. So I guess let's just
we're gonna break hard.
Let's break into the end game. How this game concludes.
Okay.
I'm not even gonna talk about the stuff with Xehanort, but specifically with how the game concludes with Sora, with after Kyrie's death, quote unquote. I assume.
Yeah, the final fight occurs, and the only casualty, the actual casualty, is Kyrie.
Okay.
And it's so frustrating because she gets no time to fight. She finally gets a Keyblade, and she's never shown to be strong with it at all. And Xehanort just kills her.
Exactly. So post that, after everything, after you defeat Xehanort, etc., etc., Sora juxtaposes, she's out there, have to go find her. And everyone's like, let's go. He's like, no, just me. And so he goes off, and then it cuts after the Don't Think Twice song comes on, and the final scenes are playing in the epilogue, and you have everybody shown to be having fun and Destiny Island, and it's a good time, and Kyrie's there with Sora, and I'm like, wow, what the fuck?
He found her.
They found her already. Like, literally,
like maybe there's an end.
Less than 2 minutes ago, we were like setting up what could be either Kingdom Hearts 4 or just an ambivalent journey for the hero to continue on.
Yeah.
And it's already concluded. I'm like, wow. And then Sora fades away. And I'm like, that's what you want to cuck me with? Okay, that's fine. But also still undercutting yourself because he succeeded. Yay. That's it.
Here's the thing. If they want it... So, like, let's say we're writing this backwards.
Yeah.
Like, we're the writing team. We want it to end with Kyrie and Sora, but Sora's not there, really.
Yeah.
Why didn't you just have, in the final fight, Xehanort kills Sora?
That would be so much better.
And then Kyrie is left.
But the thing is,
that's A, more interesting.
That would have been so much more
B,
interesting.
makes the actual conclusion more more of an end.
I'm a huge fan of killing the hero.
Yeah.
All the time. Like that's just, if you want to end it like that.
I don't think it'd be appropriate in this game, but that's how they did it anyway.
But
so.
and then so to have that, so I would have liked that, and they almost gave us that with the whole like Sora fading out, like in a way. But instead, we get a fucking stupid secret ending.
Oh god, I mean,
that continues everything on where Sora. I don't know what time. I'm assuming that takes place post game, obviously.
Yeah.
Not only that, but then the scenes with Zigbar talking about
even gonna touch
with
about that.
all that stupid shit with the fucking Keyblade Masters, which is cryptic bullshit. That's just like, we're gonna keep making Kingdom Hearts games, boys.
Yeah. It'll be like long stories.
Yeah. Oh my god. There's so many lines in this game.
That's such a wink to the audience.
There's so many
memed.
memed.
I don't even know if it's a wink.
Yeah.
It's a wink as much as a dick shoved in your face.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a lot of meme-worthy lines where it's like, I hope you like long stories. It's like, I have no idea what's going on. I'm like, me neither.
Yeah.
Don't worry. So kind of even we're not talking about Zigbar.
Yeah,
the actual secret ending is you see Sora wake up in the middle of a busy street.
Same thing with
you also see Riku wake up in the middle of a busy street, but behind him is the 104 building in Japan.
Yeah,
that is in Shikafuku.
Yeah, he's waking up in
that
actual
is a
Japan.
Real place.
You see him walking around. You see Riku walking around Japan. You see Yozora from the fake game inside Kingdom Hearts?
Inside the Toy Story world of Kingdom Hearts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what is it called? Volume Rex or whatever?
It's some spoof Final Fantasy game.
Yeah.
And I had a good chuckle at it when it was in the Toy Story world, because I'm like, it's like that poster in Deus Ex of Final Fantasy 49.
Yeah.
Because that's also Square Enix game.
I wonder if that character is going to turn out to be you or something like that.
I don't care.
Well, here's the thing. Rex says that. He's like, you're that guy. And now it's probably going to be in this game. It's like, oh, sorry, you're this person.
And then also the...
He's everybody, right?
Oh, my God. Jesus Christ. And then there is a hooded figure there as well, right? And 13 organizations.
There is.
Yes,
and he makes a little heart out of the moon.
Yeah.
Which was cool.
It's cute, but again, it's just like one of these things. It's like,
yeah.
Oh, guys, what are you doing?
So after that, I was just completely done. I was like, oh, that's all. So we're not giving any closure to anything. Nothing has changed. I mean, Xehanort is lost, but there's still more to do.
Yep.
So I'm
done.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm done too. Like,
if that's like a mainstream PlayStation or console game, something like that, and it looks like it's not Disneyfied and it's like an actual interesting new story.
Trust me, it will be.
Maybe it'll be like not in any part connected to the previous arc, but like its own new interesting take.
You would need to start like, let's even go into speculation here. Let's say Kingdom Hearts 4 is based off of that teaser we did. It would have to be an entirely new story, and I don't mean like it can't be part of the timeline. It would need to be like Sora and Riku are in this new place, and you have to give a new problem for these characters to have investment.
Like something independent of Xehanort's plans and everything else. It has to be a new plot, but it's not, because it's going to be connected to the Black Box and the Keyblade Masters and all the other horseshit baggage that comes with Kingdom Hearts. We're saddled with it for life.
Yeah, and they're just pumping this out.
But
they're just pumping them out now.
Yeah, no, and that's what I mean. I just like. I've stopped caring, and it's really sad to hear for me to say that.
I know what you were saying, kind of what you were alluding to, I think, Dan, where you would like a game independent of the Disney stuff.
Right.
I think you would like a Kingdom Hearts game purely without the Disney
fluff
or anything with it, to be honest. Besides just having Donald, Goofy, Mickey, like the main characters that have any relevance.
They can fit. They can work. It was just that's all this game was.
I would rather, in a perfect world, in a vacuum, if they could just have Sora, Donald, Goofy, plus Mickey. That's it.
Yeah.
And like just continue on without any Disney worlds, but actually be just a pure more, instead of like a 50-50 partnership with Disney and Square, it'd be like a 70-30.
Yeah.
Or like Disney supplements some footage, but it's mostly Square ideas and Square worlds and stuff like that. Because that's where any of the smart or interesting plot ideas come from. Like the Disney plot lines don't really meld in at all. They're just they're set pieces, you know.
Yeah.
I think that would be more interesting for me personally, but that'll never happen.
I mean, Disney's at a different place than it was when the series first started. when Kingdom Hearts first came out, Disney it wasn't in trouble or anything, but it was like kind of a nostalgia factory. It was just like, oh, we have all these properties, but we're not really like making any new blockbuster movies.
Yeah.
Now
in the early 2000s, yeah, it was in the middle of its kind of like experimental
now,
like shit.
Since they've owned Marvel and since they've like become this huge conglomerate.
I'm pretty sure they're gonna have, after the Fox merger, like the largest entertainment conglomerate in the world.
Yeah. Now that they're there, it seems like they're holding Square Enix by the balls here.
Oh, when it comes to this, yeah. I think there was a similar situation
There's
with
a
Marvel,
heavy push.
with Marvel vs. Capcom, with the contention to have that made. Infinite came out, but with strings attached. And that's why the game, I think, partially why that game failed. That's a whole other story entirely. But anything involving...
They have similar ones where it's like, no, you have to have these cutscenes exactly in the movie. It's like, then we have to retell the entire story. We can't fit it in this game story. Okay, well then I guess we'll just if when you put so many strings on these things, it's like, well then what the fuck am I gonna tell?
But that's what I feel like this game is Nomura just being like, fine, yeah. I mean, and I don't know if it's Nomura, but you know what I mean? Like Disney just saying like you have to do it this way.
There's definitely some sort of influence,
That's why they kind of throw those like lines in that just say like this doesn't really mean that much, you know?
Yeah, but that's.
It's okay. I understand. Like, I put the post out. Sora is just the ultimate Disney cuck. Like, he just sits around and watches Disney moments happen. And that it's an awkward experience for me because he's not interacting with the world in a real way at all.
No.
He's just there as an observer, and we're just passing through movies that we've already seen. And there's a novelty to that, but it's not very engaging in a lot of ways. Like, him just watching the ending of Tangled, him just watching the ending of Frozen, him just watching like the same conclusion again for Monsters Inc. and everything else that I've seen so far, he's just kind of fucking.
I guess it's
very unfulfilling.
It's a case of like, I didn't play this game to rewatch Disney movies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I played this game to like have a fun fantasy adventure story using interesting set pieces from like my childhood or stuff like that. And it's fine adding the new stuff. I don't mind the worlds that they chose. I mind how they execute.
I think that's a better way to put it. Yeah, I would have liked them to be more set pieces, if anything, and to have the story of Kingdom Hearts put more into the forefront. And that wasn't what happened. The set pieces almost took over the narrative. Actually, well, they did.
That's what made the first one so interesting. Is that you're like, wow, I'm exploring the worlds that I grew up listening to, or watching, and now I get to make my own narrative here.
Yeah.
And these ones are much more like, here's the whole movie you already know.
Yeah. Here it's very linear. It's just like there's not a whole lot of exploration to be done. You don't really engage in any way. Like the story doesn't let Sora do too much in way of changing the story,
which is like ridiculous. People haven't come to love this series just because it's Disney. They actually do like the characters from these series. They do like the drama, the lore, and everything like that. Like that's why this series is this popular.
This series would be potentially just as popular without the Disney, I think, aesthetic possibly.
I don't think you would have as much of a rampant following.
I think there's definitely, and again, it's a little presumptuous for me to say that. I know that it has a huge benefit from having the Disney.
It would have the same marketing value, sure.
Yeah.
But I think it wouldn't have as much of a cult following as it does.
It definitely captured an audience at the time that, using the Disney influence that it had to...
Like, I don't know. Long and short, this game was just a massive disappointment to me.
I definitely thought is a lot of untapped potential and just kind of an organizational mess. Like, I do enjoy the gameplay. Like, I will stress that from a mechanical standpoint, this game it is fun and it is pretty to look at, but it's just a slog at times. Even from that perspective, like the mobs aren't always engaging. Like sometimes they're very boring, they're very samey, and then there's nothing to pick up the slack at that point. Like there's nothing in the plot that's progressing. Like nothing is happening in regards to the organization or fucking Sora's progression. I have no barometer of how far I've even gotten closer to capturing the power of waking. I'm just doing things and just entering Disney movies. So I'm hoping that the back half of the game, like you guys described, gives me some sort of fulfillment, and I may come back with new eyes after that. But at this moment in time, I kind of echo that sentiment. With someone who didn't have many expectations at all, it kind of shat all over them the little that I had.
Wow.
So I would say I really love the opening menu. I think it's wonderful.
Beautiful song.
Yeah, beautiful song, great picture. No, but I had a lot of excitement going into the game, and so that made the beginning of it very fun for me.
Yeah.
I really did enjoy it because it is a very fun looking, and the gameplay is good. And then I would say it took me to get to the end to start enjoying it again. The boss fights at the end are fun. Mm-hmm. But yeah, overall, I'm a little disappointed. I think we obviously have covered the reasons why.
Yeah.
But you know, there's some good and bad here.
Yeah. Mainly because there's no Final Fantasy characters.
That too. No Sephiroth battle.
That's fucking
that
ridiculous.
really made me sad.
Well, they even referenced that there were Final Fantasy characters in the last game.
Oh my god, shit
and they just don't appear.
You could have you fucking put Noctis on like Cup Noodle. Like they put Noctis everywhere.
Yeah, because Cup Noodle paid them.
Yeah, well they put him in Tekken. They put him everywhere.
Oh, well, yeah.
That guy swings
Probably
everywhere.
because Bandai paid them.
Oh my god.
Disney wasn't gonna pay Square Enix.
This is your own game.
Enix.
Square can put whatever the fuck they want in their own game.
Yeah, but
I didn't even think about that.
Square Enix is a fucking bureaucratic nightmare.
Oh my god. They could have put somebody in there.
No, they could have, and I wonder if a few years down the line we'll get a Kingdom Hearts 3 Ultimate Final Mix.
I would not be surprised for a 3.5 coming out in the next couple of years.
And we get a Sephiroth battle, and maybe a couple battles with Final Fantasy characters, maybe. And
how would you feel if they put Sora in Dissidia?
I don't care.
Gosh.
No, okay.
I like Sora. I like Sora as a character. I like. Oh my god, this is getting off tangent, despite the fact that we were coming to the end.
Just do it. Just.
I like Sora, even though he's like dumb.
Yeah.
Because I like him like I like Goku, where he's just so positive and so
example.
forward thinking, and he cheers up everybody. It's like it's this really positive energy character, and it works in this game.
Like Alita. Keep going.
No, I think I'm good after that. He's a good contrast. I'm sorry. He's a good contrast to Riku. Like I like these characters, and they are not given any time to actually shine in their own fucking game.
I don't know. There is something about this game that I actually like Sora in. He the story definitely is flat, but he actually I think was kind of okay.
He was fine, but he was fine before as well.
That's true.
What I mean is like he's just not given any time to like become something more.
Yeah,
or whatever. But anyway,
I digress. But that'll probably wrap up our thoughts for today's episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I hope that you empathize. I know this is a lot of complaining, probably, but maybe you guys echo those sentiments. So let us know what you thought of Kingdom Hearts 3 down below. Was it a masterpiece and we're all blinded by unreasonable expectation, or perhaps we're on the point, maybe you guys think even less of the game. Maybe you think it's hot garbage and we should storm the gates at Square Enix's office. I don't know. Let us know down below. Drop a like, ring the subscribe, and thank you guys for listening. Have a good day. Have a good life as always. We'll see you next time.